My bad. Just had to move that chair out of the way. My bad.
Welcome to Local Everywhere. I'm Cynthia Pooler. My guest today is Steve Grogan, and Steve wrote a play called There Is Hope. So, Steve, tell us a little bit about what made you decide to write a play?
Well, I mean, I've been writing as long as I can remember. I mean, I remember being 8 years old and writing little creative short stories, and I'm 48 now, so I've always been writing. As for
Okay.
as for a play, a couple of years ago, I met this local actor named Roberts, sorry, and he was in a production of Sunshine Boys over at Schenectady Civic. So I went to see it to show support, and I was sitting there looking around at the theater, and I'm like, now I never really was a big like thespian or anything. I mean, once I got out of high school, I never did any more state plays or musicals, but I do remember what a fond time I had of it and the camaraderie and stuff. Sorry, my glasses are messy. Uh, and I was like, I kind of miss that feeling. And then I started thinking, I wonder if there's any story ideas I have that instead of being screenplays could be stage plays. And then this one happened to be in the pipe. So I was like, I bet that could be one. And
Mhm.
I was right.
So, what do you do for a living? You don't write plays, right?
No, I work for the New York State.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about what your play is all about.
Well, it's about a guy named Kevin Seward who's been living like a hermit for the last few months, and his friend Erwin visits in the first scene, and it's like, "Come on, you got to get out of the house, stop wallowing," and he invites him to an ugly Christmas sweater party at a club that it's called the Tower, and it's a big, huge club. It's 9 stories tall, which there's significance to that, but I'll get into that later if you want. So he goes, and the reason why he's been a hermit, I should say, is because he's still bummed over being his last girlfriend, Lucy Grossman, broke up with him. So uh, uh, Kevin goes to the party and he's on the ninth floor, and Erwin comes to him and he's like, "Hey man, how you doing? How you enjoying yourself?" Kevin's like, "I'm having fun. Great. Um, I just got a notification that Lucy's on the premises."
Oh boy.
Oh, great. So Kevin decides to leave, and as he decides to make his way down one floor at a time. And from that point on, it tells two different stories: the flashbacks from when he met her until the breakup, and his interactions with people at this party. And by the time he gets down to the first floor, he still hasn't run into her. So it's like, what's going to happen? And so yeah, that's the gist of it.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about the relationship between the two people, why they broke up, and what was so traumatic about uh, being at the same party.
Well, uh, I don't want to give too much away about it's not so much the breakup itself. I'll say this much. This won't be a spoiler because Kevin hints at it throughout the play. As early as scene 4, he hints at this. Uh, it's more about how he acted when she did it that is upsetting to him. And
Okay.
and
Meaning when she broke up with him.
what's that?
Meaning when she broke up
Yeah,
with him. Okay.
right. And he's not so much upset about her being the one to end it because I mean it's like okay, I thought things were great and she didn't. So what? That happens every day. It's more about, oh man, I can't believe how did I act? Oh my God. It's more about his embarrassment over not living up to his own standard. And as far as not being on the traumatic about being at the same party and all of that, that would start to get into some spoiler stuff, honestly. So I don't want to get
Okay.
too into that or else no one will go to the show.
Okay, so
Yeah.
talk about it freely as much as you want so that you don't give away the whole plot.
Um, well, I mean, on the surface, seems like just sounds like a fairly standard, like a farcical rom-com kind of thing. But and you can take it on the surface level and be fine. That and you still understand it, you know. I tried to make this write it in a way where, again, if you don't understand or pick up on any symbolic things I have going on, you still get that doesn't matter. You still understand the play.
Uh-huh.
But if you want to go deeper, you can. And there's like little things, like little themes and that what do you call it? I'm trying to think of what the right word would be. Certain, I'll just call it events. There are certain events during the play that happen in like a cyclical type of a nature.
Uh-huh.
Like Kevin's whole thing, and this only happens, well, like in the flashbacks when he's talking with Lucy, that the ex's name, he'll be like for example, she's a nurse at a psychiatric ward,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, oh, have you ever had any patients that were the equivalent of Randall Patrick McMurphy or something? And she's like, what? He's like, oh, come on. You cannot tell me you don't know One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. She's like, I don't. So he starts to ramble and he goes on this long spiel about Cuckoo's Nest. So that's a movie. Then in the next scene, he carries on about a book. And then in the next flashback, he carries on about a band, like a rock band. And he keeps doing that throughout the play in that order: movies, book, band, and
Okay.
it keeps cycling like that because that's actually a major part of the play is talking about where you make a mistake. You're in a certain situation and you make a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Well, sometimes there are certain situations in life that repeat, but have you learned from that last mistake so that even if you're in the same situation, you don't, is there hope that you're not going to make the same mistake over and over? You're going to be
Right.
a better, wiser person. And so that's why it's all about like things cycling.
So where will your play been where will your play be presented?
The place called the Storefront Gallery. It's at 344 Second Street in Troy.
Okay.
There's and I can send this to you later. There's a link on Eventbrite where you can go get a ticket to it. It's not a theater. It's an unusual venue to have a play at, and that's actually exactly why I wanted to have it there, is
Okay.
because it's unusual. Well, that and plus I ran into a lot of static. I'll just put it that way, trying to get this held at local theaters, because it's like seems to me like there's a very rigid, strict way of doing things. Like, nope, if you wrote it, hand it off to us, we'll say thank you, have a day, we'll pick the director, we'll pick the other.
Is
And
that right?
yeah, that's,
Wow.
and people are like, no, no, you can't direct what you wrote. And I said, why not? Who says that? Have you
Uh-huh.
never heard of Oliver Stone? If you have never heard of Quentin Tarantino, Woody Allen, there's plenty of people out there who direct what they wrote. Am I saying I'm in their caliber? No, no, never would do that. I'm just saying it's not unheard of. And I just had this fear of handing it off to a director and someone being like, you know what? No, scene 6 should be scene 2, and scene 2 should be scene 18, and like totally butchering this carefully structured thing that I had. And
Mhm.
on top of that, I just I said, you know what? Just once, at least for one staging, I would like to be the Woody Allen of this thing, write, direct, and act in it. and
Okay.
and so I am, but the only way around that was to, I had to find a venue outside of the theater
Okay.
system, and it's the kind of venue where I can't do it 100. It's not a 100% traditional stage play, but it's not 100% a staged reading either, because we will have generic sets. Like we won't have a couch, but we'll have two chairs pushed together to substitute for a couch, stuff like
Uh-huh.
that. And we can enter and exit the performing area, but we can't do things like, let's say Kevin's on stage and there's somebody else there, but in the dark, and then the lights come up and expose them there. This venue won't allow those kind of lighting needs. So
Uh-huh.
that's why we have a narrator who says lights come up, lights go down, you know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff.
Okay.
We do have someone who narrates certain parts of the action. So that's how it's like a stage reading, but it's not, in that we can move around and interact with props, interact with each other. So again, to get back to the square one there at 344 Second Street, Troy, New York, March 30th at 1 o'clock. That's a Sunday.
So, when you talk interaction, you're talking the audience and the people in the play?
No, the actors. Like in a staged reading, we'd be sitting side by side with our scripts doing nothing. If it
Right.
says, so and so walks over and shakes somebody's hand or pats someone on the back or puts their arm around their shoulder, we can do that stuff. But it's like a staged reading because we do need a narrator to say, oh, there's a couch there, the lights go down. You know what I mean? So
So, is this the first play you've ever written?
no, no, but I mean, I tried to write a few way back in high school, and I don't know, the plots, like the ones I wrote, I'm like, yeah, I'm not sure I really like stage plays. But then
Okay.
when I met Russell, I went to the Sunshine Boys that he was in. I don't know, I just started to pay more attention and be like, I what have I, because I probably only 3 to 5 plays, but I have read enough where I know, like when it says enter stage left, that they're talking about the actors left, not the audiences. Like
Right.
I know about those cues and stuff. So, you know, uh, there's a couch upstage center, so I know that means it's further away from the audience. Downstage is closer. So
Hmm.
I knew some of the lingo from reading a bunch of plays,
Hmm.
and so this is, I would say this is the first one that I ever dared to let anybody read. The others were kind of like, no.
So, what do you hope the outcome of this will be? Do you want it to be in other theaters or venues, or what's your ultimate goal?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about that, like, because I threw my hat in the ring to perform at Craft up in June, the Capital Region Festival of Theater. And I should mention all the ticket sales from this are going to be donated to Craft 100%.
Okay.
Um, and one other thing about that limited capacity is because it's a small venue, 25 seats. But anyway, hope I really the reason I converted it to a play, I had the idea in my head as a screenplay, but I converted it to a play because I was like, you know what? I'd rather be on a stage, and then when we say something funny, boom, you hear the audience laugh. Or
Right.
we say something touching and there's a collective awe. You
Right.
hear, and I really I also, I'll tell you this much, from having people read it, a lot of different people have read it, and I they all react to something different, or they react to the same thing but in a different way. And
Hmm.
that I always love asking people about, like that. Like, what did you think of, what really hit you in that scene? What, you know what I mean? And why?
Hmm.
I love exploring stuff like that. And some people can't answer it. Like I liked when you hugged her son, because Lucy has kids, right? So they're like, I liked when you treated her stepson with so much kindness.
Hmm.
Well, oh, cool. Why is that? I don't know. It was just neat. you know, most,
Okay.
most people can't give a more in-depth answer, but those who can, it's like, that's my, that's my jam.
So you like the different perspectives that people have when they see your
Yeah. Yeah. And I like knowing. not only different perspectives, but I also like knowing like something that came from me. It was, and it's very personal. This is actually based on something that really happened to me. Um,
Okay.
I had a girlfriend. She broke up with me. I was not very gracious. I did not handle it with what you would call grace. And the second after I was done, I was like, "Why'd you do that? What the?" But by then it was too late. You know what I mean? And
Right.
but then years later, things resolved, and I was like heading home from the night when they resolved, and I was like, "Damn, this could make one heck of an uplifting play." That whole arc, you know. And
Right.
so I'm hoping people will be touched by it, moved by it, and you know, and find and really connect with the moments of I think they'll identify with the party goers who are not that admirable people, and
Uh-huh.
they'll get, but even though they're not, they'll get a laugh out of it because they'll be like, oh, I know exactly, I know that kind of person, you know, and and then and that's not to say that the flashbacks with Lucy don't have funny moments, but they have more of the sweet side of the play, you
Uh-huh.
know,
Mm-hmm.
not just the way he is with her, but she has. Well, we hear that she has three kids, but we only ever get to meet one because finding child actors is a pain, you know, and but also because in real life, the one kid of hers we get to meet is based on the real life kid. Uh, he's the one I had the closest connection to, I had the most relationship with. I just something I did or said or whatever, or kindness I showed him just clicked with him, and I reached him in a way where a lot of other people couldn't. 'Cause he had
Mm-hmm.
like behavioral disorders and things like that, and he could have suddenly random violent outbursts, and people gave him a wide berth, you know, or just flat out took off. But not me. I was like, he's just a kid to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, maybe he has a unusual behaviors sometimes, but don't we all?
This is true. So did that writing for this play inspire you to do other plays?
Yeah, actually, is this there's kind of this certain, I don't want to get into this part, but I'm not super in depth, but I'll just say there's a certain work of literature that provides an underlying. I modeled it after this thing, and
Okay.
the thing I modeled it after is actually part of a trilogy. The thing is, most people are only familiar with the first part of the trilogy, myself included.
Okay.
But the more I started to think about it, I was like, you know, I should suck it up, go buy parts two and three and read them, and then write a trilogy of my own, again, modeled after this trilogy from classic literature. And I've got outlines for plays two and three, but I haven't had time to. I'm busy enough trying to make sure this doesn't fall on its face. Haven't had
Right.
time to write yet, but I
Right.
will. But I will.
So tell us where, when, and how people can get the tickets to see it.
Okay, it's going to be again at the Storefront Gallery, 344 Second Street, Troy, New York. Um, Sunday, March 30th, 1 o'clock. And there's going to be like refreshments and like a mingle at. There's not going to be necessarily a Q&A after, but you will be able to mingle and ask people about like, hey, what was the thing with the, you know what I mean? You'll be able to talk to us. And tickets. You can get tickets on Eventbrite.
Okay.
If you post these on YouTube, I can send you the link and you can put it in the
Okay.
description box. Or since there have been some people reaching out to me who are like, I'm not tech savvy. I don't know what this Eventbrite thing is. If you just send me your name, I'll put you on a list, and you can buy your ticket. You can pay at the door, but you'll pay the online price, not the ticket price, because online price is $15. The day of is 20 at the door. But if I
Okay.
got your name as a reserved spot, it'll be 15.
So if people contact you and say they want a ticket, how can they reach you?
They can do most convenient way, because if you type Steve Grogan, who knows if you'll find me. If you type There Is Hope, there's an official page, Facebook page. If you
Oh, okay.
type like There Is Hope stage play,
Okay.
um, I can give you the exact link to it as well for the
Okay.
description box.
Okay.
And if you message me there and say, "Hi, I want to see it, but I don't get this Eventbrite, it's confusing." Don't worry, I got your name,
Okay.
and someone will be at the door checking for tickets and stuff.
Okay. So you've been listening to Steve Grogan, whose play is There Is Hope. I'm Cynthia Pooler. This is Local Everywhere. If you like the show, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Steve, thank you for being on Local Everywhere. And thank you, everybody, for listening. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.